Just thought I'd do a quick update on the Olight Warrior. I was asked a few questions on this, so I thought I'd put a quick video together just to answer some of those. Someone asked about if you get any voltage off of the tail cap if you put a voltmeter on it, as I have done here, and yes you do. There is voltage coming off of that because it's used for the magnetic charging. Now, just out of curiosity, you can see here that if you short across the two contact points, nothing happens. There's no sparks, doesn't blow anything up, so it's quite safe in that regard. Obviously I submerged it in water as well, and it's also recessed, so it doesn't actually sit at the same height as the outer section does. So I don't really see any major problems with that myself, but I just wanted to clarify that in case anyone was curious, and I had a couple of messages about that. The other point to note was the modes, that they do vary, so just switching the modes over using the push and hold in the base switch and then the side switch. There's another method of doing that I'll get onto. It's the strobe mode. If you're in the enhanced mode, you can get the strobe by pushing it fully in, but once you release, the strobe comes off. There's no way to keep the strobe on with the tail cap switch on the torch. So as soon as the pressure comes off, the strobe will actually stop. Unless you press the triple press on the side switch, then you're into the strobe. And also the tail cap switch will turn off the torch. Just a half press or a full press will turn it off whatever mode you're in. Another point to note was that you have the 4 modes normally, so you can access the moonlight and the turbo separately, but you can also hold that down. If it goes through 3 cycles, it will also switch the mode over from the standard to the tactical and back, so you don't just have to use the tail switch and the side switch. Personally, I'd only see any use with that if you couldn't access it, if it's just one-handed use. So you can actually do that. I forgot to put that in the review. That was a mistake that I made. So there's 2 methods of changing the modes over on this torch, but obviously the normal method, push and hold in the tail switch and the side switch, is a lot quicker. Now on the lockout as well, I was asked a question about this. Once you've engaged the lockout, it locks everything out. That includes the tail cap switch, that's locked as well. You can see if you push that in, the red light will come up just to let you know you're back into the lockout mode. You can also unscrew the base on that. That will also give you a sort of mechanical lockout as such. Now, the other question I got was about the clip. The clip is quite long on this, particularly compared to the Clarus torch here. It's almost twice as long. There isn't as much pressure with it. I don't find it a problem myself. What I mentioned about adding some notches to the clip would be, just show you with the other Olight torch here, the S1A, you can see the notch there. If you added that to the top part of the sections, it would just give you a bit more grip at a less flexible point because it's so long. The only other way of changing that would be possibly to make it thicker, and I know Olight probably wanted to keep the size down. Another area that could have been changed possibly would be the bezel. It's quite a low profile bezel, but with some torches, looking at the Clarus here, you can actually unscrew that, and that allows you to put either a more aggressive bezel on it, or there's an option for things like filters. I've seen some torches where you can get filters screwed in to the bezel. Maybe that's something that I wouldn't mind happening on a newer model. The torches that I have here, the Clarus, they're quite different. Now I actually prefer the S over the other Clarus that I reviewed, the XT2CR, because it's got both switches on the base or tail cap, and you have the tactical ring, and I personally find it just a lot easier to grab the ring and then access the 2 switches on the base. So out of the 2, I'd actually prefer that one, purely from that perspective. Not really much to do with the beam pattern, it's just ease of use really, and convenience. And if you had a side switch, the story would be quite different. So I would miss a tactical ring less on a torch like the Olight, because you have the side switch and you can access the modes via that. But with the Clarus torches, obviously the recent ones, you just have the 2 tail cap switches. Another point was the strobe modes are actually slightly different with these. You've got a different speed with the Clarus, so rapid fire and slightly slower. Might not be able to see that entirely clearly, but again, that's not really something that bothers me. But you do have an SOS. So when I look at torches like this, I think, well, maybe there's a feature that I'd use on that torch that I'd like on this torch, and that's the same with these 2. They're both very nice torches, but you can see here the moonlight mode on the Olight is much lower than the Clarus, and that's something which is fairly important to me. So really it's a compromise. All these torches are compromises in design. and Olight have gone for a sort of semi-tactical torch with regards to the operation, but obviously I still think there could be some improvements to that. Also got asked about doing a test with the neutral white. If I can get a neutral white, I will try to do that, and I'll do some beam shots on that. And the mode memory was another question I was asked about. It's just the normal modes that will include the moonlight, but not the turbo or strobe. So you need to either use the tail cap switch to get to the turbo, or the double press on the side switch. That's pretty much in line with a lot of the Olight torches. It's not something that bothers me that much. Whether you'd prefer it to have a mode memory with the turbo, that could be open to debate. Another point to note was the difference with the turbo output between the standard mode and the enhanced mode. The enhanced giving you the 1500 and you're down to the 1000 for the turbo on the standard mode. I'm not sure exactly why they did that. It's not a big thing for me. Perhaps it's just to accommodate the batteries that don't have the full capacity, higher capacity, such as the one you get supplied with it. Would have probably gone with a feature like the Claris has, which will drop down the output so that it doesn't trip cells. So it's not going to be a problem with the one that's included with it. Another point to note is I split my time between the UK and Ireland, and at the minute I am in southwest Ireland, so I'm right in the path of a very nasty tropical storm stroke hurricane. So we'll see how we get through that. There could be some delays possibly next week with stuff getting through. Not really sure. Not expecting to see a postman out tomorrow. If anything exciting happens on that, I'll keep you updated. Hopefully everything will be okay. It might lose some strength if we're lucky. So apart from that, give me a shout in the comments section. Let me know what you are thinking. If there's any more questions with any of these torches, you can always ask me. If I don't have the answer to them, I will get onto the manufacturer. I've got a couple of other items to review next week. I'll still be doing the torches of a power bank to look at. I'm working on that review, and I'll do my tech reviews as well. So thanks for watching the video. Do leave a comment below, and I'll catch up with you in my next video shortly.